Welcome to the Innovative Hotelier, brought to you by Hotels Magazine. I'm your host, Robin Trimingham. Regardless of whether you're an independent operator with one location or an international brand with hundreds of hotels, one of the traditional challenges that has to be contended with are long lines in the lobby at popular check-in times and the endless amounts of paperwork that's generated by this labor-intensive manual process. But for some forward-thinking hoteliers, this is all about to change as AI-based technology is being introduced to fully enable an automated, contactless check-in system to provide a seamless and secure guest experience. My guest today, Bennet Jurgens, the co-founder and CEO of Nect, and Christian Mager, the Chief Technology Officer at HelloGuest Solutions, are here today to discuss the cutting-edge contactless identity verification and check-in process that they're partnering to introduce to the hotel industry. Join me now for my conversation with Benny and Christian. FOH is a global food service and hospitality company that manufactures smart commercial-grade solutions. Headquartered in Miami, the company designs and manufactures all their restaurant and hotel products. They have showrooms and distribution centers located throughout the globe, and their products are always in stock and ready to ship from any of their distribution centers worldwide. Welcome, Benny and Christian. It's great to get a chance to meet you guys.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well.
Hi, hello. Thanks for having us here.
I'm actually very excited to meet the two of you. I have to say, when I first heard about the technology that Benny's company has been developing, I was fascinated because I haven't heard of anything like this, at least in our part of the world. I can't speak for everywhere. So I was sort of intrigued both by the service that you're offering and equally by how quickly it seems to be being adopted in Germany. So, Benny, can you explain to our listeners exactly what the thing you have developed is capable of doing?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So on the surface, I would say what we are doing at Nect is not that uncommon, not that unusual for most of the listeners. So it's the self-service ID verification, what some may already have done, like snapping a picture of the ID card, doing a selfie video. But the difference lies in the background for us. So what we've developed is that we come up with AI models who are capable of verifying the ID documents on the same security level as the border control can do, which is the main reason why we have taken up so much speed in Germany, because Germany is, one could say, very overregulated in many spaces. And when you look at ID verification, that's a good thing. You want to make sure that the person who is in front of the smartphone or PC is really the person you are onboarding into your bank account or onboarding into your insurances, whatever. And in the past, it was very easy to fake your ID when you just snap a picture of the ID document, because the security features of an ID document are optical variable. So if you look at an ID document and you move it, the holograms and other features change their appearance. So we record a video of the ID document, and then our machines verify all these physical security features of a document. So it's very hard to fake your ID with our solution. And that's why we have also been used by the German government, by the largest insurance providers, the Deutsche Telekom, and all these big players in Germany, because we have managed to make it fully automatic, so very user-friendly, but on the same time, on a very high security level.
So what made you first think then of offering this to the hotel industry?
So we started in the insurance industry. So my background is I'm a software engineer, but I've worked like 10 years for the insurance industry. And I saw that big opportunity to start in the highly regulated industry. So you could also start in the gambling or everywhere where you need to prove your age. But I wanted to prove that we can make high security stuff very user friendly. And that's why we started in the insurance industry. And then the most natural movement, the next most natural step was the bank industry and the telecommunication industry. And travel and hotel industry is also, in my opinion, a very highly regulated industry where if you look at the border control, it's like one of these things where you want to make sure that the ID is real. But on the same time, if you look at the hotel industry, you not only want to make sure that the ID is real, but you also want to have a very good onboarding experience into your a very good check-in process. So I would say it's a very natural fit for us that we can deliver these high security features into a very user-friendly check-in process. So that's why it was a very, very interesting industry for us to step in.
You know, it sounds so straightforward when you explain it that way. Christian, can you give us a couple of details regarding your company, HelloGuest, and tell us why Nect's AI-based identification solution is a perfect fit for what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So we provide self-service solutions for hotels, especially self-check-in solutions like kiosk stations where the guest just arrives, enters the details of the stay, and can check in automatically without having to go to the reception counter. I mean, times are changing. Not every hotel has someone sitting at the counter 24/7. And it also speeds up the check-in process a lot. We're serving different hotel formats, especially family-owned businesses to groups and hotel chains. These are all our customers. Our primary market is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, but we also have other companies, other customers in Iceland and Israel, for example. And yeah, the part where Nect comes in is during this check-in process. We're also handling this registration form process that hotels have to do, and Nect has an excellent market coverage. So a lot of people already have the Nect app installed on their phone, so they just arrive at the hotel and don't have to download another app for doing the self-ident. So yeah, that's just a perfect fit. It makes it very easy for the user, for the guest, and yeah, that's why we're a good match.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So a lot of the viewers who are going to be interested in this discussion will be legacy hoteliers, ones who have not yet made a lot of technological advances. So let's help them try and understand all of this a little better here. From a technology and a security perspective, Christian, what would you say are the main drawbacks to a manual paper-based hotel check-in process, the traditional one?
Yeah, first of all, you always have to have somebody sitting at the reception desk that can do the check-ins with guests. You can't really plan when your guests are arriving. which is kind of a problem for a lot of hotels. And when it comes to the registration form process, there is a lot of security and also privacy things, especially here in Germany. Privacy is kind of a huge thing. And it's very, very easy for the guest, for example, to start the check-in. They just have to enter their last name and their arrival date. That's usually enough for them. And then the process starts. The process of the registration form is the manual flow is kind of prone to errors. For example, when the guest has to write down the name on a paper or something, then somebody usually has to take this paper and write the name into the system. This can cause many errors if you can't read what the person wrote. Then for a security perspective, your facility can also burn down and you lose all your data. That's, well, we not hope, but yeah, it could be. And if somebody will steal your book of registration forms, this is also a privacy concern. So yeah, the weirdest thing that I personally saw when I once checked into a hotel, they had a printed Excel file where everyone wrote down their name, and I was the last one in the list, and I could read all the 50 other records. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was actually a kind of strange experience, I must really say.
You know, that's true, because all hotels used to operate that way, particularly the exclusive little ones. You know, I come from a big hotel background myself. My very first job, I worked for a hotel in Toronto. It has 1,100 rooms, and Friday night, it used to be an absolute zoo. Checking in, there would be like 8 check-in desks, and the line would be going all the way across the lobby, 17, 20 people at least in every single line. Now, I realize the world's progressed a little bit from that, but tell me, how does this thing really work? Because HelloGuest has kiosk, Nect has an app. How do the two of them, I'm going to say in English, marry up so that it's all one smooth thing that works together?
Yeah, that works pretty easy. So you enter your last name and your arrival date. That's usually enough to start off. In some cases, you have to enter more information, especially if you have guests with the same name, then you have to add a little bit more details. But then your reservation will be found, and directly the first thing we do is asking the registration form data, and we're displaying a QR code that you can scan with the Nect app. Most have the Nect app already installed. We showed this case also on a trade show in Germany earlier this year. And the guest then is redirected into the Nect wallet. They are doing the identity check here with self-ident. And yeah, after you finish this process in the Nect app, this data is transferred securely back to our systems. We're creating all the PDFs, we're transferring the PDFs where this data is stored then to the hotel. And yeah, then we proceed with the other things like payment and handling the key cards that you get into your room. That's how it works on our check-in station. If you're using our self-check-in app for iOS, Android, and web, it's actually the same flow, just that you don't scan the QR code, you just hit a button and are redirected then into the Nect app. But the rest is completely the same thing.
One-stop shopping. I like that.
Yeah.
So, Benny, what are the different identification methods that are available through the Nect wallet app that Christian was just talking about? And how does this actually simplify the whole process for the guest?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I said at the beginning, that we are most famous for the optical verification of the document. So that's our first method where we started with, because it supports nearly all devices, because you just need a camera in your smartphone, which is essentially in every smartphone nowadays. And on the other hand, you just need your ID document. So no special hardware, no special things going around. You just need your camera and your document. You're good to go. But in the last years, we always wanted to build up something where you can reuse your verified ID. So that's why we always have been integrated into all our partners as, I would always describe it as a PayPal process. Like if you're in an online shop, you click on the PayPal button, get routed to the PayPal process, and they save your payment credentials, right? And then you get routed back. And the same is for us. Once you go to our process, we store your verified ID and you can reuse it afterwards. So that's why it plays out very well in this HelloGuest scenario here, that if we already know you, you're essentially a regular guest, you're the favorite guest of every hotel, because you can check in with just a click in an app. And you can still fulfill with just this click in an app. You can still fulfill all the regulatory requirements. And besides that, I mean, we support all the documents around the world, but nowadays we also support the NFC chips in the documents. So if you're, for example, in an airport and you go to the automatic gateway, you just put in your document and the gateway reads out an NFC chip in your document. And we brought that also to the smartphone. So we can verify the documents optically. We can verify it with the NFC readout. We can reuse verified IDs and so on. So what we take care is that no matter where you're from in the world, we verify your ID in the best possible way for the user.
So business travelers are going to love this.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's why I think that's a perfect match here, right? Because you in the travel industry, you have much more returning verification processes, right? You open up a bank account like once in a while, like every 5 years or every 10 years or whatever, but you travel like 1 or 2 or 3 times a year. And if you're a business traveler, you do it like every week. So there is where our system of reusing verified ID is really playing out in the travel industry.
So talking about the demographic characteristics of the kind of person who's been signing up for Nect, what could you tell us about the characteristics of I'm going to call it your typical customer or service user? I'm not sure which is more accurate.
I mean, as we started, we always took care, or we always wanted to achieve that really we are usable by everyone, because I strongly believe that self-service is something everyone likes. And I mean, obviously there's always people who want to speak to someone helping them and stuff. And I don't say that this is still the case, but I wanted to make it happen that everybody can use self-service if they like it. But as we started the company, I would have bet that only like the people in the 20s to maximum 40s want to use the process, because it's like it's a new thing. But what we figured out over the time, the average age of people using our system is like 45. And the oldest one we've ever verified until yet is like 96 years old. So I would say we somehow achieved the goal of we can be used by everyone. I think the main thing is really the self-service thing, because if you're not like familiar with the process, or if you have if you're a little bit afraid of new technology, it helps that you can take your own time. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're rushed by an agent or something to verify your ID or check into the hotel. You can do it as fast as you like. So you can perfectly take your time and read through everything. We even have included like explanation videos. You can watch the explanation videos and take your time and then go through the process. You don't need to be rushed. But if you want to be very fast, you can be very fast. And I think that was the key thing to make it possible for everyone to use the process, that you can be as fast as you like, but also as slow as you like. So that's the thing.
I think that's fascinating what you're saying, because as I'm listening to you, I can see older travelers absolutely loving this. I mean, we're all so completely over standing in line and delays when we travel, and huge lineups here, there, and everywhere. We just want to get on with things. Yeah, I can see people really liking this. What can you tell us though regarding legislation adoption rates of digital identification processes in countries other than Germany? Because I think Germany, at least in the West, we think of you as a country that is very forward thinking when it comes to tech, anything tech, So how about the rest of the world? Are people really latching on to this?
That's funny, because from my perspective, in Germany, we really, I would say we're somewhat slow. I mean, there's a lot of great companies, a lot of great startups who are working on awesome technology, who try to bring Germany or the European Union to the next level when it comes to technology. But if you're looking from a German perspective, you always feel a little bit over-regulated. And slowed down with your innovation. And if I look at we're also active in Latin America, and it was very refreshing how fast we can be. Same goes for Poland, really? Example. Our direct neighbor is Poland, right? And our direct neighbor is so much faster in adoption of innovation around regulatory technologies like ours, like the ID verification or any new payment methods and stuff like that. So Germany is always very slow in adapting new innovations when it's in the space of regulatory tech.
So I find your answer very interesting, because I guess this is a proof that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. So tell me now, how else could hotels potentially take advantage of Next identification verification system once the guests are enrolled?
So what we are already integrating is payment processes. So the next step for us is really that you not only transfer your ID verification data, but also the payment details, or that you can just pay in a hotel. So instead of saying okay, my room number is 123, you can directly pay with the Nect wallet, but also at this check-in process or check-out process, because you already have the connection and the connection between the whole hotel system and the Nect wallet. So then you can perfectly fine also do the payment through one simple process instead of having different process providers. We always try to connect from one spot to the next, and from there on you can always spread into other use cases. At the beginning it's maybe just a case for the direct hotel guest, but as soon as it's taking off and more people using it, you can also think about having it as a normal payment process next to your credit card or whatever.
So Christian, what measures are in place to ensure data privacy and ensure the safety of guest information that's being gathered?
Of course, all this identification things are very personal information. So there is a very high standard to that we have to take to protect these data. So of course, the very first thing is everything applies to the GDPR, the European General Data Protection Regulation. So in all our systems, of course, customers, our hotels have access to this data. But of course, only authorized people can see it in our systems. And always, if there needs to be access to a specific data record, you always have to enter a reason why you want to see this data. And of course, we are limiting the access to this data very hard. Only administrative access is granted. I think we have a very high standard in protecting these data.
Established in 2002, FOH is a woman-owned global food service and hospitality company that manufactures smart, savvy, commercial-grade products, including plateware, drinkware, flatware, hotel amenities, and more. Driven by innovation, FOH is dedicated to delivering that wow experience that restaurants and hotels crave, all while maintaining a competitive price. All products are fully customizable, and many are also created using sustainable, eco-friendly materials such as straws and plates made from biodegradable paper and wood and PBA-free drinkware. FOH has 2 established brands: Front of the House, focused on tabletop and buffet solutions, and Room 360, which offers hotel products. Check out their collections today at fohworldwide.com. What would you say to a hotelier who fears that the lack of human presence, interaction in this check-in process is going to be perceived as a downgrade in customer service?
So I guess it depends a little bit. Of course, if you are seeing the 5-star hotel segment, your guests will actually they will expect to receive some personal interaction for the money they pay for you. But of course, they will be also happy if they don't have to fill out the registration form every time they show up in the hotel. So it's actually saving them time. So they could appreciate this. On the other hand, you have a lot of business travelers who are in different hotels every other day or even other week. They want to save time checking in. They want to proceed as fast as possible into the hotel room, especially if they arrive late. Hotels can't always plan when the guests arrive. So I actually don't think it's a downgrade. For a lot of people, it's an upgrade if they can do this automatically. And if they are using the HelloGuest app in combination with the Nect app, they also can do this check-in and the identification process while they are on the way to the hotel. So let's say they are in the train, the bus, or in some cases even the plane, they can actually do their check-in. And the other big benefit actually is why it's an upgrade. The hotelier finally has more time to take really care for their guests. Again, they don't have to mess with registration forms anymore. They really have, they actually get back the time they can spend with their guests, actually.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the big one. Yeah, go ahead, Benny.
If I may add here something from the insurance industry. If we look at the online registration for a customer portal, we actually found out that if you offer 2 different ways of doing the check-in registration process, you have a lot of happier customers. So if the customer can choose himself if he want to go that way or that way, he's much more happier. So even if in a 5-star hotel, I can imagine that some guests simply would love this self-service check-in and benefit from the personal service on the stay, but the check-in, maybe they just want to go their way and go to the hotel room and have their 2 hours of coming into the hotel, instead of like waiting in a line, waiting for the service or talking to someone. Maybe someone just wanna go to the hotel room without talking to too many people and stuff like that. So I think if you let people choice, they would be happy with either decision, because it's their decision what way they are going to check in.
I think that's an excellent point. Christian, one of the questions I know that hoteliers and hotel operators are going to have for you guys is, how are they going to measure the ROI on installing a system like this? What would be your response?
Yeah, so I guess you have to compare the two systems, actually. So if you're doing it manually, you have a lot of costs for your staff. If you're doing it paper-based, it's very time consuming. Guests are sometimes also annoyed by this. If it takes too long, they might consider not coming back again. Even if that's a process that they actually have to do everywhere, but we hear this sometimes. So you have costs for the paper, the printing, the storing, of course. I think storing is one of the highest costs that they will have for a paper-based flow, because you must buy the folders to store it somewhere, and also the archiving. I mean, you have to provide rooms in your basement or wherever, or you have to rent special locations where you store it securely. And also in the end, there will be a day where you also have to destroy this data again. So in Germany, it's usually a year. Other European countries have 7 years of storing it. So in 7 years, there can be a lot of paper that you have to take care. And then you also must keep your retention periods. So we're doing it automatically for you if you're taking our Nect and HelloGuest advantage. So yeah, in fact, you will always have a lower cost structure with digital systems here, because you're not bound to all these offline storages, actually. So yeah.
So definitely something for everybody to be thinking about. We've got 1 or 2 minutes left here. Could each of you share briefly an example of a company or an organization that's implementing this identification solution, and talk a little bit about what the experience has been like? Maybe Benny, you would go first.
Sure. So in the past 5 to 6 years, we have been used by insurance companies, banks, Deutsche Telekom, and stuff like that. So the biggest names in a highly regulated industry in Germany, mainly to check in or register for customer portals, or if you want to buy your new iPhone online or stuff like that. What I'm very proud of is that lately we have been also integrated at an airport. So if you want to visit an airport, you verify your ID with our solution. So that shows that we're not only working in the online context, but also in the offline world, so to say. And from there on, I hope that we can win some more customers in the travel industry and everywhere else where you also need to prove offline your document. Like, for example, age verification. If you want to enter a club, or if you want to buy some alcohol or stuff like that. So that's our next steps, really, to move out from the online context to the offline context.
Yeah, I'd say if you've been vetted and accepted by banks in an airport, that, yeah, this is a very workable kind of technology. It's actually quite exciting. Christian, what would you add to all of this?
Yeah, I think Benny already told a lot of exciting examples here where this use cases can be actually seen in production already. I can just confirm. I also saw it on airports before when border control happens. They are also doing some kind of visual identification. So last time I visited the US, I actually didn't have to show my passport anywhere at the airport. But yeah, these are mainly the industries that it's used for insurances or banks. They have a lot of interest in getting valid user data, that they really know who are their customers. And I think that's the primary industries that are using it.
Well, I think that you guys are definitely at the forefront of a very quickly evolving new business category, I think I'm going to call you guys. I want to thank you both so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to meet you. You've been watching The Innovative Hotelier. Join us again soon for more up-to-the-minute information and insights specifically for the hotel and hospitality industry.